Alright guys, we are getting slowly and steadily into the a bit more intense rounds of the qualifier. It is the Dreamhack Valencia qualifier, which is also the first EU regional. About it, Dirk, thank you very much for the resub here and the support. And we are going into draft number 1, where we have Battlefield of Eternity and immediately a Khaldor ban plus an Illidid ban. Looks like TeamLiquid is currently looking at a Liming for the first pick. Great poke on Battlefield of Eternity usually prevails. So this is also the first time that we're really going to see the new TeamLiquid lineup in an official tournament. They play now with Ethereal Angel and they have Sport Billy as well. I'm also not alone for this series, but I have called in some reinforcements. So with me is once again Tetcher.
Hello, coming from outside of the EU this time, and not an American. Everything is different now.
Well, not quite. I mean, Brexit, the referendum is over, but you haven't left just yet.
Yes.
But yeah, that's definitely interesting times these days, and a lot of news. But well, back from that to esports, we have Greymane Falstead. Pretty solid comp for Team CC as well, and I mean, these guys are incredibly aggressive in their playstyle.
Yeah, they've just stolen Fnatic's draft so far, so just going on those very, very aggressive damage dealers, which do have, in the form of Falstead, some very good poke themselves. TeamLiquid looking at that Muradin, one of the just so solid and versatile warriors, especially with the multitude of builds he's come up with recently. They sort of moved away from the one build that we only ever saw, and now everyone's putting in a bit of variance.
Especially on this map. I mean, you can go for a Stormbolt build if you really want to put the Sledgehammer in and drop the Immortal hit points a little bit faster. But when we're looking at the Summer Global Championship, for example, the Asian teams have started to really go for a healing static build, which is pretty cool with even the heavy impact. So
given the axe sometimes, which was super cool because they had the reduced cooldown. So it actually worked really well, just dropped so much damage.
That was pretty sweet as well, but now we have a Tyrande. So you can really tell that TeamLiquid is not only looking at Muradin as an isolated hero and says, alright, this guy is going to be absolutely amazing for us, but now with Tyrande being played too, they have the opportunity to stack these stuns again. Liming can capitalize on that, they can dominate the rotation on the map, but at the same time they have of course to think about if they need a second support, yes or no, since Tyrande is not really the most played solo support anymore, even though in certain situations you can still try and play her as the only healer.
Yeah, she does have some decent healing if you build her that way, and of course we mentioned just the amount of stun she does. She also has that vulnerable for the Immortal, which is very effective. But now they're banning out the Thrall. They're afraid of some of the damage we are seeing on CC, and CC picking up 2 supports here just to make sure that Liquid have a bit less options if they want to go for a double support themselves.
Yeah, so Bruisers are more or less all banned out here, unless of course you are going for Nunuburak and play him Bruiser style to actually jump the backline. But with Thrall and Sonya going, we have now Tyrande, Muradin, and TeamLiquid has to think about a potential Charism since Tassadar was picked away. So CC with double support already, double backline, they can empower Greymane a bit with that combo now too. And for TeamLiquid, there's still a couple of choices to make. Double support, double tank. Do you pick a Lunara here, for example, even? So a pretty solid draft already for both of the teams heading into the first game.
Yeah, looking at very, very strong Liquid. Once again, hovering over that Charism, like you said, just a safe pick here. They can still build Tyrande or even Charism with a bit of damage and just take the healing from both of them together. And the last pick, like you said, could still... they probably need some extra damage here, but they could still pick like a more bruisery tank, like you said, maybe a Nubrak if you build him that way. Maybe Artanis, who we haven't seen very much, but this is the map we're seeing him on, if any, for Nubrak. Bit more popular here, especially with the huge amount of CC he applies when you're up against a Greymane.
I like that choice a lot. Like, he can really dive the backline. You can spec him a bit towards damage. You have also, of course, some CC on him as well. Tyrande, Muradin, you have a Nuburak. You can go 7-sided strike on Charism. If someone goes deep against you, you can isolate him here. And CC, they are going for an ETC here, which, of course, gains a lot of value if you can try and stack some crowd control spells in particular. We have seen that a lot with Khaldor's ETC at the Summer Global Championship. Right now, he would be played as the only frontliner, kept alive by Tassadar and Rhaegar, but TeamLiquid has a ton of interrupts here already against the potential mosh pit.
Yeah, so there's maybe a chance to stage dive it, otherwise we are just going to have to see CC's ETC to do some good CC to keep them all alive.
You were waiting for that one to drop, right?
Yes, I was.
Alright guys, game number 1, Battlefield of Eternity. Let's not waste any time. We have the CrowingCocks going up against TeamLiquid on the first map in the best of 3 series. Game number 1 in the best of 3 series. We are at the Dreamhack Valencia qualifier, the first EU regional final. The qualifier here, and to the left side we have Team CC with Mopsio on ETC, Lunan on Rega, Celium on Tassadar, Zelia on Falstad, and we have Sphyxy on Greymane. To the right side of the map, TeamLiquid with a new and improved roster. We see Chris on Liming, Shat on Anubarak, Sport Billy on Tyrande, Athero Angel as the main tank at the front line on Muradin, and we have Gerd Amherd on Karazim. The first game in potentially 3, and both of these teams, of course, very eager to qualify already for the first EU regional final for the fall season. With me is once again Tetcher here for the broadcast.
Indeed, and starting off with the talents at the beginning, we're seeing some interesting choices from TeamLiquid as they go for that first tower to try and take that down. Only Sphyxy on the defense. They won't get it, but they will drop it super low, allow them to work it down a little bit later. But talent starting off, Force Armor on the Li Ming against that Falstad, who didn't actually take ability power. He went to these marksmen, so very interesting choices there. We see the Rangers mark on Tyrande, which is just for helping take down the Immortal and working down some of those tanks, and because they have 2 supports, she doesn't need the cooldown reduction as much.
Yeah, Celia is definitely going to try and get that extra damage in against the Immortal as well, but against Muradin later on, once he picks up Giant Killer, it's going to be very cool if he goes for it. For now, though, we're having up at the top lane a 4 versus 4. Normally, we oftentimes see that actually happening at the bottom of the map, but right now, both of the teams just move to the top. Poke on Chris' side is, of course, quite strong, and a lot of CC that can be stacked here. ETC slides in, Gerd dashes out, and is able to escape. But still, the CrowingCocks have to be very, very careful that they don't run into that CC train with Muradin, Tyrande, the Anubarak, and then also, of course, Liming capitalizing on it with damage.
Yeah, they have to be careful, but the CC from the CrowingCocks is nothing to be sniffed at. They do have that ETC, they're going to have the slows from Falstad and Rhaegar. Not so much hard CC, but the soft CC is going to make it very difficult for people like Tyrande especially to really get their escape in.
Yeah, down to the bot lane, still that battle. We have a bit of a wraparound though, since Gerd decided to just simply take over the bot lane here for some time to allow Muradin to set up a potential gank. But by now we also see the first Immortals in the game, and that means immediately that we're having a fight starting up to the top. Here comes that crowd control that we've been talking about. Already Chris with the damage output, one of the best ranged assassins in Europe for sure, dodging Mopsio with a power slide. Well done.
Yeah, but the damage so far is coming out very much ahead for TeamLiquid thanks to their huge poke potential, and as such, the fight has moved down here to the CrowingCocks Immortal, where they are trying to play a bit on the defensive here as opposed to going to the race, because they know Tyrande will outrace them if they were to try and compete.
Very nice pressure against Mopsio in particular now. Team CC is having a couple of problems here keeping the front line alive, especially since Celium, of course, cannot rely on Karla's Embrace yet. That's going to kick in on level 7 later on. They are starting to move back onto the lanes, trying to maybe pick up an earlier level 4 talent so that they get an advantage in the fight here in the middle.
Yeah, both teams have sent one hero back into the lanes to start soaking. Falstad was soaking the bot lane, pushing it up. We're seeing a bit of a scuffle here. Shad taking some damage, tunneling into that wall by the looks of it, but is able to get out there. And we are seeing Falstad still getting season marks attacks. Muradin was soaking top lane for similar reasons, and now we see the race, which will easily be won by Liquid thanks to that vulnerable, and thanks to a Athero Angel slowing it down the counter-attack.
Yeah, halftime show has started, 50-50, no level 4 yet for TeamLiquid. That's a bit of a problem for them right now, especially since we are having that healing totem as well. Ice in the dark for Greymane, hammer gains for Falstad. Here comes the 4 for both of them, and we have a damage build on Tyrande with his 0 arrow now taken. Sledgehammer on top of it, so the extra damage against the Immortal. TeamLiquid trying to win the objective, but they are in a position where they're a little bit split. It's a bit unfortunate for them. Nice control over the objective so far by the CC team in blue.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to win this. That vulnerable from Tyrande is just too good, along with the damage that they get from their damage dealers and Karazim. So as such, they're now going to be able to take the Immortal and push onto Mopsio. The Stormbolt misses though. Mopsio gets the 5-man stun through them. Not going to make anything of it, but it was just a really good escape there.
So you could really tell that that damage output that we see for TeamLiquid is absolutely insane. The poke on Chris's Liming is very good, especially when Sport Billy is able to put the extra pressure onto the Immortal as is. Sledgehammer by Athero Angel helps them to win the objective too, and now they can start to pressure through the bot lane. And they have the poke that they need for it. Mopsio with a great power slide there at the end, of course, but he doesn't have level 10 yet. With a mosh pit, he could have definitely turned the tides of the battle there, but we are still a bit too early in the game.
Yeah, not even at level 7 yet, which is when Felstad will be getting his secret weapon here, as he has gone into full auto attack with that hammer gains on level 4, which is my nickname for Khaldor's arms. So we are seeing them go for the Kazuma camp at the bottom lane here, just to put some more pressure on, try and give Liquid something to worry about, so that the CrowingCocks can have a bit more freedom on the map.
Very nice aggression towards the camp as well. So the CrowingCocks immediately realizing that they have a free shot at the camp, they take that and they put a bit more pressure onto the bot lane, which forces TeamLiquid now to react, of course. The next Immortal is going to take a bit longer, so it's not really going to put them in too much of a dangerous position, but there is now the opportunity to maybe set up a gank, and Mopsio is waiting for it. Here comes the immediate jump by Aethero, making sure that Mopsio cannot lock him down, but that's definitely going to cost them at least a tower.
Yeah, tower goes down, but they're managing to hold the minion wave here, using Aethero to tank the shots from the Kazuras while they work them down. Mopsio gets the 2-man stun. In comes Greymane onto Gerd, but Gerd dashing out, but Aethero dwarf tossing out. Great escapes here by TeamLiquid.
Yeah, TeamLiquid keeping everybody alive, and so far nobody has died in this game. We're seeing it just keep rocking on the side of Mopsio as his level 7 talent. With 7, it's also Khaldor's Embrace now on Tassadar, so that's going to help to keep everybody alive. The Quicksilver Bullets, as expected, secret weapon for Fall set, very important talent here. And when we're talking about TeamLiquid, and of course it's the movement speed again with the Shed Exoskeleton. Shed is going to be very mobile in that backline once that he starts diving. And we see Seeker, Falling, plus the additional Iron Forge momentum for Muradin. Very cool talents now taken on the side of TeamLiquid as Immortal number 2 is being announced on the map.
Yeah, and TeamLiquid using this time to position themselves. They're going to take their own Shaman camp here so they can get some pressure in that top lane. And with Muradin already positioned in the bot lane, they're taking some pressure off it before they rotate up to the Immortal. They're going to play a bit defensive for now because it's on their side while they wait for Muradin. They won't have time to kill off the Shamans here, but they will still be able to take a little bit of pressure off.
Yeah, both teams now with the camps pushing for them on the lanes. Fawcett is trying to deep-push. Mopsio is solo. Mopsio is dead. Goes down. Great heal first by Rhaegar, but then it's too much damage and he can't survive that. Now for 16 seconds, TeamLiquid has the opportunity to push through. They are sacrificing hit points at the bot lane. They're going for a trade-off here. They know the camp is pushing against them, but they see a chance to put the damage onto the Immortal of the CrowingCocks.
Yeah, they're trying to get damage down. Gerd having to dash out though due to the counter damage coming in. Like you said, Liquid just putting so much damage in. Their poke potential and just their straight up damage potential is so huge at this point. And once again, the CrowingCocks Immortal appears on their side. They work it down, and that is an easy Immortal for them. CrowingCocks just trading out some damage to lower the shield, so they're able to fight it a little bit better.
Yeah, able to fight it here, but overall it's still TeamLiquid able to make the moves and get once more the Immortal, so very well done by them. And their poke comp definitely working so that they get the second Immortal here. We were talking damage, we have Fawcett, by the way, now also on 14 extra damage on his auto attacks. That's of course going to make it very difficult for Muradin later on in the game, depending on how long the game lasts, of course.
Yeah, we will see how it goes for them. Mortal pushing through. It won't be too long before it drops back into that melee mode after the shield expires. Mopsio playing very far forward here, just trying to keep everyone away so his range damage here is Tassadar. And Greymane in this case are able to just work that Immortal down. Takes a lot of damage. The cleanse used on him in advance there, as a lot of CC was being dropped. The healing totem is also down, helping keep Mopsio alive, but down it goes from the splash from that orb from Li Ming.
There goes the 4, but we still had Fawcett at the bot lane, putting a lot of pressure onto the fort of TeamLiquid as well. So at least they got some value out of it. I was actually very surprised to see that Zelia started to move to the top. It felt a bit like he was afraid that there might be a forced battle that he has to join, but so he moved back a bit. I think he could have maybe even finished off the structure down to the bottom of the map, but thanks to him soaking experience, we are actually seeing them on level 10 a bit faster. And indeed, we have now stage dive taken. Against all these interrupts that TeamLiquid is running, Mopsio decided to not go for the mosh pit.
Yeah. For the Falstad roaming to top lane, I think he was actually going for the just hyper aggression himself. Like if Liquid had overstayed, he had Gust, so could have gusted them forward and tried to make a play with his team. But like we said, no mosh pit. They wouldn't really have had a huge amount of follow-up outside of Force Wall, so decided to stay in the bot lane, and also Liquid were able to pull back.
currently even Cocoon threatened on a Nuburak. I don't really believe he necessarily needs it, considering that we are looking at a stage dive over Moshpit. But we have the Palm with the trade-off for the Starfall. Pressure play at the bot lane, and Nuburak isn't there. Here comes the zone attempt. They're trying to go for it. Mopsio is also still in position where he has to be healed. Slides in. He has no Moshpit. Keep that in mind. But Sphinxie is now darting in, trying to go for Get. They're killing off Li Ming, though. Chris is dead. Jumps into the back. Repositions himself. Could go for the slide. Has it on cooldown. Shad is attacked, and he is dropped now too.
Yeah, Shad did go for the Locust Swarm for the extra sustaining damage, but that is not enough to keep him alive through that huge burst damage we are seeing from that Greymane. And we are seeing some good kills coming out from the CrowingCocks here. As such, they are actually a couple members up, but everyone from Liquid will be alive in time for this Immortal fight.
Xaylia with the immediate flight up to the top, and you can really tell that it's starting to become a bit of a problem for Team Liquid. There's an experienced lead for their opponent, thanks to all these moves that we've just seen. We have now level 12 versus 11. Of course, it's still a fight on even talents, and that allows them to go for the Immortal again. With the help of Toronto, they should be able to put a lot of pressure in, but the CrowingCocks are back to action once again, trying to defend here.
Yeah, nice force wall by Taz, zoning, preventing any extra engage coming in here. But we are still seeing the CrowingCocks try to push through, and Liquid on the retreat here. They're unable to really get the positioning that they want, and that is a huge problem for them. It just seems they're fighting on their own Immortal here. They can't really get in a position to do their racing like they have been.
Yeah, Gad is dashing all over the place trying to escape, but once again the fight, and this could be it for now. An isolation attempt by Xaylia, even using his ult here. Needs to jump away. He might be a bit too late on that. The stun is great, and here comes that hit. Great play by Chris, and also, of course, by Sport Billy with a very good lockdown stun. That forces a 5 versus 4 fight, and Team Liquid is going to win another Immortal.
Yeah, another race. That's basically from full, just taking that down so quickly. And we just see Nuburak in perfect position to prevent anyone from really even coming out of that base to try and counter push. We do instead see the CrowingCocks grabbing their Shaman Cap in time before the Immortal did spawn, and as such that will be a little bit of counter pressure, especially on the Immortal as it's going into the same lane.
Yeah, they're all just trying to go down to the bot lane now, especially, of course, Team Liquid is going to attempt to poke a bit. The problem is that they're a bit too late for it. Falstad is moving to the top. He wants the extra experience. He can fly in if need be. But Team Liquid, they dropped the first fort of the game at the top lane, and now they're eager to make the same happen down to the bottom, where they are moving in with everything they have, and they have a chance to even break through the wall at the keep itself.
Yeah, they already took down the Shaman too. Their Angel using that Sledgehammer to great effect, able to just drop so much health on it. And the rest of the team able to kill that off very quickly. Mortal down to about half health here, and as such Liquid will pull back. They're not willing to... Actually, no, they're still going to go for a bit of aggression here. Wanting to try and drop a little bit of damage over there. There's the Force Wall separating the team. There comes the stage dive, and Falstad from behind. They want to try and get the engage here. Xaylia very far ahead. There's the Force Wall. There's the Mighty Gust, only grabbing 2 though.
Yeah, Mighty Gust, he waited very long for that. Mopsio has to be healed. Nice palm on Sport Billy. He survives. Fixie dashes out, is getting healed by that healing ward a bit, and Celium is there with Carlos Embrace to keep him alive, but they're jumping on Falstad once again. This is the kill. This is the kill, the first one, and they are trying to snowball it here. Celium moves out towards the right, but the rest of the team is trying to chase down Mopsio.
Mopsio getting stunned up, power slides through, and he just does not care, easily escaping. But with Falstad going down there, that Mighty Gust not what they really wanted. They really wanted to grab like the entire team. Instead, they just got 2 members. And as such, Liquid were able to capitalize by having just both their tanks especially, and their healer still alive, so they were able to protect the 2 damage dealers that got CC'd and were able to get out nice and easy.
It's a real close game, though. I mean, we have seen Immortals ending up in the hands of Team Liquid, and they pushed with it. They have the advantage thanks to the structures that they took down. But overall, if you look at experience, if you look at kills, it's still a very close match between the 2 teams here. On 13, we have now also Giant Killer, and in the long run, that should really help Falstad to put the pressure onto Muradin in particular, especially with the 25 extra damage that we're already seeing thanks to Season Marksman. So he is getting closer and closer to complete his quest talent.
Yeah, that will allow him for that huge attack speed buff, which 1 will counteract the reverberation from that Muradin, which he's been using to great effect so far, and 2 will allow him to burst down at the Muradin or even the Nuburak that little bit faster. On the other side though, Muradin's taken the healing static again, the build we are seeing a lot more often these days, And Li Ming, super aggressive with the glass cannon. Lovely little bits of extra damage here.
Interesting part is also that despite the fact that Muradin went for Reverberation and also used the healing static, he did not go for the second Thunderstorm on level 4, but instead still wants to put the pressure onto the Immortal. So that's a bit of a variation of the build here. You don't get as much value out of your Thunderclap talents if you go for Sledgehammer here, but it's still very well worth it. Once again, we are seeing when it comes especially to the Immortal damage or Siege damage, Li Ming shining 31k and 48,000. Here comes the stage dive though. Gerd is in trouble. Gerd palms himself very early, afraid of the CC, but he is not getting triggered. They're starting to jump in, and this is starting to become a massive problem here. Once again, we're seeing the Ancestral Healing, this time on Falstad. He's barely surviving here, but here comes the Owl. They're still going to try and kill Falstad, but Shad has to move away.
The tanks don't seem to care. They were just taking rid of Shad, finally pulling back off taking damage. But that was basically the two warriors there versus the entirety of the CrowingCocks. They were still able to survive through this. However, CrowingCocks getting a big head start onto Liquid's Immortal here. Looks like they'll be able to get it. Even with Tyrande down on the CrowingCocks Immortal, they were not able to grab it in time.
I cannot believe that nobody died in the last fight. Great heals by Rhaegar in particular, and of course Celium with the shields making sure that Zelia did not die here. But now the Immortal is taken. They still are trying to go for a kill before the Immortal is actually joining in on the fight. They don't get that, but they have now some momentum going on for them. They can try and not only go through the top 4, but maybe also start pressuring the keep here. The scaling process is of course continuing, and we are 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah, they're trying to get anything out of this now that they are very close actually, 15 minutes in and level 15, very close to their level 16 talents. And we are seeing CrowingCocks pushing forward here. They want to try and just kill as much as they can to boost that XP, because if they hit 16 while this push is happening, then they might be able to just make a play out of it. There's Starfall trying to zone them out of it, trying to stop any kind of play happening and give Liquid time to take down the Immortal. Very nicely done. Forceful's quite good to prevent the counter pressure coming out, but with 16 here for the CrowingCocks, it's unlikely Liquid will make anything happen.
Yeah, with level 16 they have now first of all the Echo Paddle taken on ETC. We're seeing also still the Afterburner for Falstad, going for the increased movement speed. It's a pretty cool talent, and Celia, as you can tell during these fights, he wants to be aggressive. He's a very aggressive player here, and he's trying, of course, to come out of these situations again. Alpha Killer even on the side of Greymane, the extra pressure with Giant Killer and Alpha Killer now on Muradin. He needs to be very careful in these fights. Tacit, of course, with the extra safety net. The CrowingCocks overall doing very well here, definitely giving Team Liquid a run for the money.
Yeah, they're doing surprisingly well, better than some people may have expected, in fact. And we are seeing them just picking up at the Khazara camp, the only mercenary camp other than their own Shamans left on the map, and their own Shamans just in a very safe position, especially with ETC. They can grab that when they want. And Liquid, hitting their 16 finally, we do in fact see the wonderful talent give them the axe coming out of Muradin.
Muradin going for give him the axe here, not going for the heavy impact, so he's not going to try and add even more CCs to the combo. The True Shot Aura is now in play, Blood for Blood too, and they have actually a very strong level 16 right now. Not only do they have a lot of melee heroes that really benefit from the Circle of Life that Karazhan picked up here, but they also have now extra damage, they have the Mirror Ball for objective control too, and we're seeing on top of all of it, even a Nubarak going for the Blood for Blood so that he has more sustain in these fights. It's going to be very tricky now for CC to really dominate these fights, unless they can blow a target to pieces, of course.
Yeah, which looks like what they may try to do here. Gerd dashing over the wall, a Barrow jumping it, and as such they're trying to turn this fight onto the two assassins who sort of separated themselves out here. Good cleanse though onto Greymane, keeping him alive. The Starfall not getting a huge amount of value here, but Liquid still want to push onto the Immortal.
They're starting to push in. They want to try and go for Tassadar. Here comes the Prescience, gets triggered, and Celium gets away for now. But let's keep in mind that we still have an entire level lead for the CrowingCocks here. Problem is, though, that a lot of the cooldowns for Team Liquid are still available that give them sustain. Locust Swarm, for example, they're starting to jump in again. Li Ming is coming into play too. Stun is missing this time. Opsio with a slide, and Team Liquid, they have to fight here on the fourth one, and they kill Opsio.
But now Chris taking some pressure from Spixie. There's the Ancestral, but Spixie's so separated from his team. Gets a rollout with Eyes of the Dark, who actually gets revealed by a Locust from a Nubarak there, who did use that cooldown. And the very last Locust able to reveal Spixie from the stealth. But he was already out, so not too much pressure there. But now with a hero down, this is once again going to be Liquid's Immortal.
TeamLiquid with a great kill against ETC, and this is something that we've been talking about during the draft. ETC as the only frontliner is going to have a couple of issues, and you can really tell that that's the case right now. Double Support is doing their best to keep him alive, and they're doing a very solid job, but with him currently not being able to use a mosh pit either, there's not as much of a threat coming from ETC as potentially could have been the case. Of course, with all that CC on the side of TeamLiquid, it's always very difficult to get that mosh pit through, but ETC is now back, and he has the stage dive, so that Immortal fight is not over yet.
Yeah, he can absolutely just join his team whenever. Both teams playing on the defense for now. And look at Xaylia, positioned very far away from her team, but still not too close to any bushes that she could get ambushed too hard here. You can see arriving via the regular mounted means as opposed to falling from the sky. But he is now in position to help out his team try and drop those stuns. But Liquid are starting to creep forward very slowly. There's the Starfall just being used here. Working down the Immortal and dropping any damage on people who try to defend it.
If the CrowingCocks want to win the Immortal, they have to force a fight, and they have to force it soon. They are still in possession of most of their rogues. Here comes the stage dive. They're going for it. The slide is there. Xaylia from the back. He's trying to kill everyone. Good damage against Sport Billy. Sport Billy is down. That's the first kill. The palm was already out, and once again, they're starting to go for Shadow and Ethereal Angel. Gadam Head is trying to keep them alive with the Circle of Life. Jumps in Ancestral, saving 60. Xaylia in the back goes down to Chris, but they get the kills on Shadow and also on Gad, thanks to the Mighty Gust that he was able to throw out beforehand.
Yeah, only 2 members alive for Liquid, and Chris, you'd think he'd be able to turn this, but he has so little mana right now. He's only able to throw out a couple abilities at a time, very much relying on his magic missiles at the moment, but because of the huge numbers of Jesus, that damage, because of the huge numbers advantage, we will see the CrowingCocks take the Immortal.
They take the Immortal, and what a game. 5 kills against 5. Both of the teams just trading kills, trading Immortals. The damage output by now, nearly 100,000 siege damage on Falstad. We're seeing in hero damage Chris leading the charge with 61k on his Li Ming, 57,000 for Sphyxie's Greymane, and both of the teams are really just at each other's throat the entire time.
Yeah, this has been a very back and forth game. It looks like the CrowingCocks, with almost a full level lead, are rushing towards that level 20 and are going to do what they did last time they pushed in this lane. Just grab as much XP as possible, kill minions, make sure they're in range for towers and stuff, so that they can rush towards that 20 and try and make a play. Didn't work last time. Will it work this time? Cillian, dimensional shifting in advance here to make sure it doesn't get locked down by a Thero and get caught out.
ETC now on the way down to the bottom wants to get some extra experience. He can still jump in with a stage dive, and so he's trying to get that split XP. We have 33 stacks on Falstad. He needs 7 more to finally get his quest talent completed, so can he get the auto attack speed in as well. And Xaylia, of course, has the self-sustain as well with those hammer gains. He's always trying to fly into very aggressive positions to get the additional Mighty Gust in. And in the last game, he paid with his life for it, but he still made sure that they got a double kill out of it. Once again, they're trying to move in. Mopsio is there. Starfall is down. It's a 5 versus 5 once more. It's pre-20, and Tansadar already has eaten a lot of damage. TeamLiquid, they're trying to go for another kill, but Mopsio gets healed by Rhaegar.
He gets healed indeed. Chris trying to position himself to try and pick someone off here. Xaylia also positioned very aggressively. Good start by Mopsio here. Athero in full retreat. He gets out barely with that shield. And we are seeing once again Liquid in full retreat. They know 20 is going to be very soon. They do not want this fight to last too long.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to fight here. We were just around the corner of getting 24 Team CC. And once the CrowingCocks have their additional talent, it's going to be really difficult. Right now, TeamLiquid, they might even have to let an Immortal go. And 22 minutes in, an Immortal is more or less going to guarantee you a keep, and it could even mean core. It's just being announced, and half a minute is going to be not a lot of time to get that additional level. So right now, level 20 against them. We have Epic Mount. We're already seeing for ETC Death Metal. That's going to be a great talent for him, especially since he's the only frontliner. We're seeing the Hunter's Blunderbuss, and we have the Storm Shield now. Great talents for the CrowingCocks, and TeamLiquid, they are in a world of pain.
Yeah, and the Hunter's Blunderbuss just dropping the extra damage here. Not going with the Worgen Splash, considering he did take the Alpha Killer. But Xaylia, very aggressive, pushes them out of the stage dive, actually. Mopsio beginning to push forward. They want to try and get Chris first. Huge amount of focus from Xaylia here. He does have that Season Marksman fully stacked. He's trying to chase down Sport Billy down, but in comes Athero over the wall. Zoning him out, and Xaylia goes down.
The palm was great from Gad, but he died, and Li Ming was still annihilated. Sport Billy, Shad, Athero, the only 3 that are still alive for the team. Mopsio, of course, going to try and head for Tyrande. Gets stunned out there for a moment, though, and down here on the other hand, and the Ancestral keeps Fixie in play. Shad is trying to get away here. He might be able to move out of harm's way and does that for just a moment, but the Force Wall is there. They're actually going to try and push the bot lane right now. It's still a 4 versus 2 at this point. Fixie, they're not even going to try and hunt Shad down. Instead, they only go for the Immortal because they know fully well if they win the Immortal, they are very likely to actually win the game.
Yeah, they're in a super good position here. The Immortal going to be dropped down to half very quickly and way before the 3 dead members of Team Liquid will be back in time to defend. That halftime show will give them a little bit of leeway to at least clear up these mercenary camps pushing them. So Liquid will not have to worry about this lane as much, except that's actually the one I think the Immortal will push in.
Yeah, and well, that being said, by the way, we are already seeing on Muradin 96,000 damage taken. Look at the healing power, by the way, that Karazhan brings to the table. 96k healing. Gad was all over the place, and despite 1 or 2 bad palms at the beginning of the game, in all of the recent fights, his palms have been absolutely top-notch. And they are looking for a backdoor attempt, apparently. They're going all the way up to the top, sneaking around. Interesting call here. Let's see how that's going to work out for them.
Yeah, Muradin is showing in the bot lane. He is not here with them here. And Mobzio is the one in this lane. He has stage dive. He can join his team. I think they're just basically waiting for the stage dive, but Mobzio mounting up instead. And this is, they need to try and force the bees. That's what they're trying to do here, because they can't really race against this because the Immortal. They're going for it, though. Now, how many ports will they force, if any?
They can race because their keep is nearly down, and they are going to try and force the bee. But the problem is, there's already a Zero. Is he going to try and interrupt? Falstad is there, has also ETC, of course, in play. It's the only call that they can make. They YOLO it full time now, but we have Rhaegar back, Tassadar is back, and there's Fixie, and now they're going to lose everybody. Oh, they're going for the core. Deadshot, it's so close!
Rush, there's the Gust! That's going to drop so much of the damage. In comes the Pharaoh. He walked through everything, all the forts, all the keeps. He is too low, he was too slow, and he is going to get dropped too. Core survives on 48% with the help of Tash Shields. Everyone made it back, and the Immortal is on the core. That is GG, and the CrowingCocks take game number 1.
I actually like the call here. I mean, you are already aware that you won't be able to win against the Immortal and the opponent's team. It was a desperation call, of course. It was a Hail Mary, but it was the only thing they could really do. But still, we have the CrowingCocks taking victory in game number 1 as we are, of course, proceeding to the second game in the best-of-3 series here at the first qualifier for Dreamhack Valencia. Tomb of the Spider Queen is map number 2. We have CrowingCocks going up against Team Liquid, and so far CC took the first win on Battlefield of Eternity. Right now we're looking into the second map, and we have Azul banned immediately by CC. So they're trying to ban out the rotation heavy setup that Team Liquid could potentially draft here. And Team Liquid, they let Illidan go through. He's not the strongest on this map because the distance on safety is very short. We have seen him played here though, but they are a little bit more afraid of the opponent picking up Khaldor for the second game. So it is going to become a little bit interesting of how they are going to run it. At this point, we're definitely going to have Team Liquid in a position where they are probably not too happy with how the first map went. They went for a bit of a Hail Mary move there towards the end of the game, but right now we are seeing first of all Tassadar picked as the first hero, and that opens up a lot of potential plays for the CrowingCocks, even a potential Illidan a little bit later on in the game, whereas Team Liquid seem to try and secure themselves a strong bot laner first of all.
Yeah, but they're all going to be at a lot of control in general. There's very few heroes, once again, who can really control a solo lane as well. Like Zagara is usually the one we'd see to compete. Maybe sometimes a Chen, especially on this map, actually.
So there's the Thrall already, and this is definitely going to be a very interesting one, because once again we're having, like, the cool thing about the two maps that are being played here in this series is that both of them are very objective heavy. So in both of them we are trying to dominate the objective, to dominate the map itself. Normally on Tomb of the Spider Queen, crowd control is very, very important. It's one of the things where, sorry, not crowd control, wave clear is something that is very, very important. Tassadar caters towards that to a certain extent already, but they are still with a Tassadar early on in a position where they can empower a Sonya, empower an Illidan, for example. Sonya is a bit better for a lot of these sustain fights. And I actually think it's one of the reasons why Team Liquid drafts that Johanna. There's several reasons for it, actually. First of all, the wave clear is good. You have the blind against the potential Illidan play. And there's always the option of an Azmodan being played as well. Especially a Thero Angel, with his previous teams, has played him a lot on this map. So Johanna can help with the stacking process. And there's a lot of things that Team Liquid is already starting to threaten a bit.
Yeah, they're running with multiple stuff, whereas, like you said, the CrowingCocks only really hovering around the melee assassin style, which they can absolutely run a melee assassin or bruiser area. They take the Rhaegar as well, once again hinting very much towards it, but they could even move this into, say, a Tracer or something like that and just use it in that way.
Yeah, and with Rhaegar Tacita already taken, that is the best support that you can possibly get for any kind of bruiser at the front line. So they can really take their pick at this point. They could also just simply let it slide, and if Team Liquid, for example, decides to ban out a Sonya, they can still jump into an Illidan. Illidan, as we said before, in the early game struggles a bit on this map because he doesn't have a lot of room to work with. He gets more dangerous once that the mid forts are gone. But it seems like the CrowingCocks don't even want to risk it. Nope, they do. They pick Li Ming, which gets a lot of value, and now Team Liquid finds themselves in a position where they can ban one of the bruisers, but there's still the option for the CrowingCocks in the late game or in the later stage of the draft to simply say, we don't care, we're going to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just a question of Liquid. Much more scared of the Illidan. Like you said, early game, bit of trouble, but late game, he seriously gets some work done. And in theory, they could pick up the Sonya if they wanted to. Go for double bruiser would be very difficult for them to run with, especially seeing as Tass and Rhaegar have been stolen. But they can still do it. Grey main ban.
Grey main ban, leaving Azmodan open. Now, once again, oftentimes when you play against an Azmodan composition, the thought process is that you try to punish the Azmodan comp in the early game. Because in the early game, the damage output is not going to be as critical, so you can try and push your opponent down. They actually switched the ban around to a Kharazim here, and this is going to become very interesting because Team Liquid suddenly has the option to go for an Azmodan. We've seen a lot of Azmodan bans in the Western scene on this map, again, since he started to get a lot of play once more. And the CrowingCocks are currently playing a setup that can be a bit tricky, but with a double support, you're usually not looking at that additional Sylvanas, Zagara that was oftentimes played against Azmodan. So with Azmodan, you're trying to survive so that you can actually get that stacking done. And I feel Team Liquid is in a position where they can actually play that comp.
On the other hand, though, CrowingCocks do actually have a comp that isn't going to have, so far, too much trouble against the surviving the Azmodan. Li Ming can take the Force Armor on level 1, so she would have a little bit of a protection against those Infernal Orbs, and with the double healer, the chain healing from Rhaegar, and the shields, pre-shields from Tass are going to block quite a bit of that damage. So far, not too bad for them, so they feel a little bit comfortable letting it go, but it's still a little bit odd. And there is a Falstad coming in for Team Liquid.
That would mean Mighty Gust as well, and they play. I am loving it. It's Asbrodunk. He's in the game now. So they have with Falstad a very nice damage dealer that has also very good wave clear. They have Thrall, they have the Johanna for the stacking process, so they just need one healer. And CC, they kind of knew already what they were getting into, so I'm really curious to see how they're going to try and solve that problem. Because you're totally right, Tetcha. There's a lot of heals. The problem is Azmodan can just like dunk away all day long, and the more space and the more time he has to work with, the better for him. CC is going to try and counter that with the Stitches. I like it. There's just one small problem with it. Even if they land that Stitches hook, Azmodan has a pretty high hit point pool.
Yeah, they have Li Ming for the burst, but like you said, maybe a little bit more sustained damage would be good for them here, which they do have the potential of picking, or maybe even a bit more burst damage in the form of maybe a bruiser that we've been seeing them hover over the entire time. We will see. But with Stitches, they also do have another person who is good at absorbing those hits. He can take Dampen Magic on early levels, and it's Diablo instead, a very aggressive pick here, so that they can, 1, combo with Stitches hook, and 2, just someone else to separate out that Azmodan.
It's of course also a combo that allows them to be very, very beefy. Like, they are really tough to take down with Tacita, Rhaegar, Stitches, Diablo. Only question is, do you have the damage in the fights that you really need? You have options on both of the heroes to get more damage out, to spec them a little bit more towards damage, but this is not really a comp that is very aggressive in the early game, in the sense that you are getting value against structures. You're getting value against heroes if you can isolate them, and Diablo is known to punish heroes that overextend, so is Stitches. So as long as Team Liquid plays safe in the early game, they should at least have an opportunity to bring the battle towards the CrowingCocks. So I think they are going to be very happy with the composition that they're running here.
Yeah, and I very much like this last pick from Team Liquid. The Uther, he can take a spell shield for himself to protect against basically the only damage dealer on the side of the CrowingCocks, that Li Ming. He has the Cleanse to protect against the CC from Diablo and Stitches, and the Divine Shield. If Asmo gets hooked, Divine Shield dropped on him, keeping him alive. Or it can be dropped onto the Thrall, allowing him to do his work in the backline. Beautiful pick. The other option would have been Brightwing or Malfurion. I think this one definitely is their best choice out of all of them.
Really curious for that game now. Team Liquid has to win 2 in a row if they want to advance to the next round of the tournament. The CrowingCocks only have to win 1 more map. Tomb of the Spider Queen is map number 2. Let's find out together which team is going to take it here. The second game starts off with very interesting choices here when it comes to the hero selection. We're going to talk about that in a moment. First of all, here between Team Liquid and Team CC, we have to the left side Mopsio on Diablo, Lunan on Rhaegar, Sphyxia on Stitches, Celium again on the Q-bot on Tassadar. We have Zelia on Li Ming. And now to the right side of the map, Chris on Johanna. He's playing the tank for the team. That's a first. We have Aethero on Asmodan. Not really a surprise to see that happening. Gad still on the support on Uther. Falstad is played by Sportbilly. And Thrall is playing, as expected, the melee assassin. But very interesting to see Chris actually going for a role swap here. Of course, on level 1, we are now seeing the taste for blood. Very important talent for this particular setup right now. But this is a very cool game that we're in for, Tetcher.
Yes, it is indeed. And on the other side of the map here, CrowingCocks, we do see them with some interesting talents too. Devil's Due, starting off on Diablo, getting that quicker revive. It's a very small map, so it allows you to get back into the fight very quickly. So even if he dies, he'll be back. Not now, though, because he definitely doesn't have 60 souls this early in the game, but he does escape. And Li Ming taking that power hungry. Once again, small map, able to rotate between the lanes, pick up globes quickly, so you get a lot of efficiency out of that talent.
I'm really curious to see how the stacking process is going to go for Aethero, because, I mean, at this point, we're already seeing him straight on the card. Aethero, or in general, like, Asmodan is always a happy panda once he's on the mount. It's always like, whee! Arms to the side, and he's enjoying life. You can see that in just a moment again. There we go. Whee!
Yeah, Asmo's always having just a wonderful time, and Diablo's always looks like he's surfing, no matter what mount he is on, as long as it is a standard one.
Yeah. So we're going to take a closer look at that stacking in just a moment, but you can really see how they are currently trying to run with it. They have a rotation going on between the mid and the top lane, where they are just simply using the Condemn on Chris with the Nighthake spawn to prepare for the Asmodan Globe, and then Sportbilly can always just complement the damage with an additional Hammerang. So here we have it once again, Uther moving in, and that leaves us with Asmodan currently already at 54 bonus damage, 1 minute and 30 seconds into the game. So they are really starting to get huge value out of the rotation, which is kind of cool if you think about the composition of the CrowingCocks are playing, since their whole purpose is to interrupt that rotation.
And just like that, Mopsio overpowering Chris, because Chris is not using his Iron Skin there, pulling Chris away from the minions, and as such, Aethero actually misses out on a couple of the stacks there, still on 54 here. So very nicely done by Mopsio.
Yeah, once again, this time they're actually starting to get a bit more value, but not as much as they were hoping for, so they have to be careful with this. The bot lane between Stitches and Thrall is still being run here, and yeah, I'm super curious to see how much damage they're going to be able to push in here. Once again, the extra damage. Currently, we're seeing 62 bonus damage on the Globe of Annihilation, and we are very early in the game. So normally when you're playing with Asmodan, you are fully prepared to lose out on a few of the early objectives. Nice shot fired once again. So far it's actually looking decent. Level 4 versus level 4. Chris gets flipped, has to use the Iron Skin and is moving away for now.
And this is why we are seeing this Diablo pick. We saw him there use Shadow Charge to try and once again force Chris away from the minions. Didn't really get it this time because the wall was too close. But it is still a very cool move to see, just using that huge CC Diablo offers to try and slow down the stacking without having to overcommit to try and dive onto the Asmodan itself.
Yeah, Chris really helping out at the front line here. And Aethero, oh, they're trying to go for Chris again. Iron Skin popped very early, trying to escape here. Uses another Condemn, eats the Globe on the side of Li Ming, but is still able to get away here. Zelia always trying with very aggressive positions to make something happen. Damage up to the top, but not enough to get additional stacks now for Aethero.
Yeah, he is still, once again, working his way through these, though, pretty easily in the bot lane. Thrall winning, big surprise. Stitch is just clearing as much as he can, while Thrall thinking about roaming up, looking maybe for a kill, but there's not really anyone in a position, and with Cillian giving that vision with the Oracle, nothing is going to happen too much there. Chris just clearing up minions, continuing to help Asmodan, and just clearing the way to make sure they don't get overpushed.
The stacking process is actually going quite well right now for Ethereal, so he's doing really well. It's not that they're getting every wave, but with the heavy rotation against them, it's also quite tricky to pull off. But they are still looking at very solid damage overall. Again, Chris moving in, and by now 112 extra damage on the Ethereal Angel. He's of course trying to close in on the 500. And normally with Asmodan, the key is really in the early game to not throw your globe on heroes. You don't really want to do that. You want to just save them for the waves so that you are able to, first of all, wave clear and also to get more stacking, because every single globe that you throw on an opponent's hero is just basically putting you on cooldown again and you can't stack anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to be taking that risk. You want to get your damage to be at the point where it doesn't matter how the team fight goes, as long as you are doing the damage. Stacks still getting picked up very nicely here, and he's, oh, Small Billy getting taken out, and he was the first I was just about to talk about here. But Asmodan not the only one stacking Sport Billy with that Seasoned Marksman, which is currently on quite a few stacks already, which I can't look at, unfortunately, due to the fact that he is dead.
Yeah, we have currently level 7, by the way, for both of the teams. Again, Asmodan doing his thing, and that's what Asmodan games are all about. You're trying to stack, stack, stack all game long. Infernal Globe has now been picked up as level 7 talent. We're seeing Stitches with the last bite here, so trying to have the cooldown reduction ready as well. Diabolical Momentum taken for Diablo here. And at the same time, also the Blessed Momentum for the cooldown reduction that we are seeing for Johanna. But as we mentioned before, if you go for Asmodan, you are willing to give up early objectives in the game. You know that you're going to fall behind a little bit. But if they get kills, that will of course be fantastic for them. They're not able to make it happen against Mopsio, though, and Ethereal Angel in return is dropped, and that is the worst case scenario for an Asmodan comp.
Yeah, because now he is 17 seconds without being able to stack. And this is why it's not about the XP, it's about the message and the lack of stacking here, which is really cool. And once again, why this Diablo pick is actually working out really nicely.
Yeah, they're taking down the Web Weavers in the middle. The one at the bot lane have already been defeated. Not too many structures lost yet, but of course towers have been blown to pieces. They haven't lost a fort or anything, but they have taken down a few towers, and that gives now an early level 9 and also the earlier heroic ability into the hands of the blue team. And it's very unlikely that we're going to see a turn in anytime soon for TeamLiquid. So they are still working on the Asmodan stacks. That's what they need to do. They are willing to sacrifice structures, but they have to make sure that Asmodan is going to be ready with the damage in time to allow them team fighting before keeps are being threatened.
Yes, they are prepared for it, and right now we see the rotation beginning anew due to the fact that Diablo and Rhaegar were busy taking the Merc camp, and as such, Ethereal Angel just hit his 162 stat count, so he is doing pretty decently here, even though he was dead for a bit. But you will see like so many objectives just being collected by the CrowingCocks here, just trying to get as much snowball out of this early game as possible. If they can get Diablo a couple more times, then they are going to be in a beautiful position moving into the late game.
With level 10, of course, now the objective has to be given up for the time being. We're seeing Apocalypse taken, we have Ancestral Healing, Force Wall, and Wave of Force. So the dream would always to be just placing a Force Wall down here somewhere and then using Apocalypse to trap someone completely. The one thing that's really important is, once again, that they are willing to lose forts. It's part of the plan. Lose the forts, that's fine, but you have to make a stand at the keep, and that's really the important part. Don't lose too many heroes, and especially don't lose Asmodan, and that's the second time that he is dead because the CrowingCocks are willing to dive deep for the kill.
Yeah, we're seeing a counter kill attempt in the bot lane though, trying to get Stitches, but the damage count isn't enough. Stitches is too tanky, he actually pulls Falstad back in for a bit of extra damage. Very nice use of the ult by Stitches to keep himself alive. And what do you think of this Apocalypse thing? Do you think maybe Lightning Breath would have been a little bit stronger here due to the fact that they are only relying on Li Ming for damage?
I like the Apocalypse actually on the map because I really feel it's going to be tricky for them to put the opponent into a position where you cannot really move out of the Lightning Breath. Especially since we're also having a Falstad with the potential Mighty Gust that can go for the disengage, so don't mind it too much. The level 10s are really interesting now though, because we also have on top of it a Falling Sword taken for Johanna.
Ooh. Yeah, Falling Sword, Black Pool, that's the potential for a good Wombo combo there. Here comes the Globe, once again just clearing up the minions and doing a lot of damage to that Web Weaver, and as such, mid Web Weaver will be picked up fairly quickly here. Mopsio trying to zone out Chris. There's the Sundering, separates Mopsio away from his team. He gets Ancestral, stays alive here, gets dunked. In comes the Apocalypse, not really getting any value here. There comes the Falling Sword to try and grab something, and Liquid finally realizes they're not going to get anything. Mighty Gust to disengage, and there's the hook, and no follow-up. Here comes the dunk for some counter there, dropping some damage onto Lunan.
Yeah, good damage, but not enough to take anybody down just yet. We have already shat down to the bottom of the map, trying to get the extra experience. So TeamLiquid is still fine. They're 2 levels behind. They are currently losing a few of their forts, but so far the keeps have not been threatened. 200 extra damage on Azmodan. He needs a lot more stacks soon. There's of course a damage potential on TeamLiquid. Not a lot of gems were lost either. So as long as TeamLiquid is able to start turning in and get the objective for themselves, if they can get a few structures down, that's all still completely fine for them. But the extra talent that we are seeing for the CrowingCocks is becoming a bit of a problem. And currently I have to give some credit to the blue team because they're doing a beautiful job keeping those 2 turn-in points completely under their control.
Yeah, they're still looking really good. In fact, they're doing such a good job. They're actually taking the mercenary caps of Liquid here. Liquid are going to roll into this area. Chris does spot it, like the fire here. The Firestorm will spot that it has been scouted. But we are seeing CrowingCocks don't care. In fact, they hook in a Thero again. But the cleanse will prevent the overpower and thus the kill. Sport Billy getting bullied here by Zalia. There's the Mighty Gust, and he goes down anyway. That is catastrophic here for Liquid.
Yeah, and they just lost a fair amount of gems as well. So now all of a sudden, it's not only a 5 versus 4 situation, it's a talent disadvantage, and a hero is down. So we are having the boss immediately targeted. That, of course, allows a quick turn-in, and that's exactly what TeamLiquid is doing. But they are starting to really feel the pressure now. And even though in the early game it's still fine if you get behind, at this point, it's getting a bit out of control. That's, of course, what the CrowingCocks were hoping for, to snowball their advantage. And with the boss taken now and barreling through the top lane, this is looking very, very solid for them.
Yeah, they are in a lot of control here. And Diablo, even with that level 1 talent, has yet to die here. He's on 100 souls, so even if he dies and revives straight away, he will still have another 40 souls and be very close to another revive, which is the advantage of this talent here. Here comes the dunk. Actually gets very little there.
Yeah, 270 extra damage. It's also not really too great yet. They need more on Azmodan if they really want to make that play. And keep in mind, they are behind. TeamLiquid has lost game number 1. If they lose here, then they are out of the first qualifier and have to try again tomorrow. For now, though, we are still having the fight over the first keep. The boss is about to go down, but a lot of heroics have been used as well. Chris not using his falling sword just yet. The keep is gone. That's a huge problem for TeamLiquid. Azmodan could go for another globe, and he does. Puts the damage in, but it's just not enough yet to force a kill.
Yeah, we actually saw during that push a orb land onto Stitches, and with that dampen magic, it did nothing. It landed onto Tassadar. He was able to dimensional shift to prevent anything else following up, and in the second orb, he was just able to dimensional shift out of it completely. This orb damage is going to be good, but like we mentioned in the draft, the CrowingCocks have actually built really, really nicely to just absorb that damage, which means a lot of the effort here in these fights is going to be on Falstad and Thrall to make the plays.
Even talents right now, and they're trying to get that turn in again. When we're looking at the damage, Azmodan has still 30k, which isn't too shabby, considering that he is not on full stacks yet. He's getting those hits in again, and of course they know that they're under a lot of pressure here. Control in the middle of the map, Zelia's trying to turn in, and they have the numbers. They can go for another Web Weaver wave, and Diablo's trying to complete it. There it is, another set of blue Web Weavers, and that's the worst case scenario for TeamLiquid now. They have to make sure that they are not losing another keep here. Again, one dunk after another, trying to whittle away at those hit points. 100,000 siege damage, 30,000 hero damage. Azmodan isn't doing too bad, but when we consider how strong he was with the stack in the early game, they definitely struggled in the mid game.
Yeah, they're about to be a talent behind here in general. 60 just about to be hit by the CrowingCocks, so they're continuing to put the pressure on while they get this. And let's watch for the next slam by Azmodan, see how much work it can get. Hits basically no one there, but it cleared out the minion wave, giving Liquid a chance. Johanna trying to get as much CC as possible. Falstad finally getting some good damage. There's a good Sundering actually to try to focus down Mopsio. There's the slam. Takes down Tassadar at the back. The Apocalypse was good though, but the Mighty Gust will disengage here. It is a 1-for-1 currently, but the CrowingCocks are not done.
Johanna is down, and once more we are trying to just move back. Down goes the keep. Another quick attempt for a hit, but it's just simply not enough. Well played by the CrowingCocks. They trade a kill for a keep, and that is totally worth it right now. TeamLiquid with it back to the wall and 2 levels down. Once again, nice hits being fired by Azmodan, but it might already be too late. They suffered so many losses as is. Azmodan at this point at 340 stacks. Definitely could be more. He's getting the damage in, but it might be too late to start the comeback.
Yeah, the only person the slam is actually seemed to be having an effect on is Tassadar. Tassadar, he has his prescience as well, but the cooldown on dimensional shifts is very high, and the shielding, he's able to drop it, but he's focusing on keeping his team alive more because the Li Ming is the source of most of their damage. So they have a huge talent that they've taken 40 minutes to stack up to the point where it's impactful, which is only affecting one person.
Yeah, and like I guess like if they get the hits in, it's going to be fine for the later stages. But the problem is that right now they have a huge problem getting all that damage really in, and they lost 2 keeps already, and that should just simply not have happened. Every single time the poke is there, the damage output on Azmodan is very solid. He's actually the top damage dealer in the game right now, but it's not forcing any kills, and that is their biggest problem.
Why was that camp minion all the way over there? I know that the minion from this camp was all the way in the lane, but we will see CrowingCocks take this. Oh, it got hooked. Oh, yeah. But so they're able to grab this now and take control of that camp, which is going to put even more pressure onto TeamLiquid. Felstead flying back down to his team because 1, potential pressure, and 2, he does not want to get caught out alone.
I mean, TeamLiquid has a bit of time. They have 16 versus 16 right now. They know that there are not enough gems ready for the opponent to get another turn in, which would be a disaster. Boss is down for another 20 seconds. So they have a bit of time to really make some plays here. And they're pushing everything. They're taking their level 16 talent. So they are definitely in a position where they might finally be able to make a bit of a move. But if they don't win a fight now, if they don't really get that damage in, then they are going to lose this game. This is like one of those now or never situations. You cannot allow another turn in. You need to make sure that you get a turn in on your own. And it's not like they don't have the gems. They definitely do.
Yeah, they need to make something. There's a good hook onto Shad here. The Mighty Gust to disengage, Sundering to catch as well. But that's 2 heroics down immediately. In comes Diablo trying to make something out of this. APOC is used. It only grabs Asmo here, but he's way too far away for anyone to follow up on it.
Yeah, get some damage in, but now they need to make a fight happen. They are on the back foot, but they need to somehow turn it around. They're trying to go for Sphyxia. The Ancestral is good, though. Goes straight in, helps him to stay alive. Mopsio is about to fall, though. Here comes another big hit, and Diablo is still alive. Finally goes down, but of course he has the soul stacks, and already Falset and Thrall have been punished.
Yeah, Nethero gets hooked in. It's exactly what they were looking for, but so much damage from the slam there. That's such good. Takes down Rhaegar, but they were able to take down Johanna a bit above, so it's now just Gert here versus 4 members, because Diablo, guess what? He had 100 souls. He is back and is going to rejoin the fight, and as such, we're going to see the CrowingCocks going for the end of the game here. They have 4 versus 1 here, and Gert doing everything he can to delay this.
Very unfortunate here for TeamLiquid. This is not the start into the qualifiers that they were hoping for. The CrowingCocks, they want to reach the semi-final. They would be facing a potentially Fnatic in a fight for the first qualification spot for Dreamhack Valencia. The core is going down slowly and steadily. Mighty Gust is ready though. Can they put the damage in? It looks like they can. Down goes Stitches, but they still have 2 heroes on the core.
Diablo has so much health. There's the Sundering to try and zone him out. He tackles himself back into the core. Core is dropping and it's GG. And we see that's a 2-0 for the CrowingCocks.
Well played, great victory, and the CrowingCocks advance at the Dreamhack Valencia qualifier.